Meeting is called to order. Oh, yeah. So we were just commenting on our same colors. So I will call this meeting to order on April 2nd, 2024. While the meeting is being broadcast via Zoom, oral public comment may only be provided live, you here in person. And Councilmember Barbadillo is scheduled to participate remotely from the Westin Palace in Madrid, Spain. It's Plaza de los Cortes 7, Madrid, Spain, 28014, pursuant to California Government Code 54953. City Clerk, please take roll.
Councilmember Barbadillo. Vice Mayor Chua.
Here.
Councilmember Lien.
Here.
Councilmember Pham.
Present.
Mayor Montano.
And I'm here. And now let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Would anybody like to lead? Councilmember Lynn?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And so now I will give my invocation, and that's why I was a little bit late. I was looking for my poem. So as you know, I'm a poet. And one of the poems, since this is the month of Earth Day, I decided to read my poem of If Trees Could Talk. That's the title of my poem. So here it goes. If trees could talk, they would reveal time itself, a time that bore rings on her very soul. The ages of time, the ages of mankind, how the naturaleza define her very soul. If trees could talk, they would be a witness, a testament of time, deeply rooted in wisdom. She inhales the source of light, gently reaching out to her creator, her source of energy, and lovingly giving it back. From the days of old to modern day civilization, she faces peril from a changing world, disrupted seasons, thirsty droughts, fiery blazing infernos, bitter freezing cold winters, the choking air that burn her delicate hands. If trees could talk, they would tell us of what is to come, perhaps to warn us of what will be. If only trees could talk, they would tell us, they would warn us, but will we listen? Thank you. And so now moving on to, let's see, presentations. So we will do the presentations for Black April Proclamation, Fair Housing Month Proclamation, Cesar Chavez Day Proclamation, Milpitas Community Concert Band Certificates of Recognition. And I will go out there to the front. And if council members would like to join me, that would be great. Okay, is there any particular an order? I guess I will do Cesar Chavez Day. So on March 31st, 1927 in Yuma, Arizona, Cesar Chavez was born into adversity. Through his tireless efforts, he uplifted the voices of farm workers, fighting against injustice and exploitation. Today, we honor his legacy, marked by sacrifice and unwavering commitment to nonviolent resistance. Let us commemorate his birthday by recommitting to the values of social justice and equality. As mayor of Milpitas, I proclaim March 31st, 2024 as a day to honor the enduring spirit of Cesar Chavez. And I will give the proclamation. They're having a dinner on the April 6th. I will give that to them. The next one is Fair Housing Month. And so this April, we commemorate the 56th anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act and the 65th anniversary of California's Fair Employment and Housing Act. In Milpitas, we support fair housing efforts through Project Sentinel. I, Carmen Montano, Mayor of Milpitas, proclaim April 2024 as Fair Housing Month. Let's celebrate diverse communities and strive for equal housing opportunities for all. And just a little side note that our city is doing, we're providing some safety net for some of our residents who are having a hard time struggling with their bills or their house payment and their rent. And the next one is Black April. So Hafan will accept this proclamation. Where are you, Hafan? So come on up. So Black April signifies a somber chapter in history, reminding us of the anguish and sacrifice endured during the final days of the Vietnam War. As we commemorate this solemn occasion, let us honor the memory of those who faced displacement, persecution, and unimaginable hardships. Let us ensure that the lessons of Black April are never forgotten, standing in solidarity for peace, reconciliation, and human rights. Join me, Mayor Carmen Montano, and the Milpitas City Council in proclaiming April 2024 as Black April. And I'd also like to ask Councilmember Han Lin, since she was a part of that struggle when they came over during the 1970s, if you would like to say something, and then also give this to Fun.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I do not want to share those moments because it brings back too much heartache. And I just want to thank America for their open arms, for taking a lot of us, many, many families into this country, provided us with better lives, opportunities to be where we are today. So thank you. And this.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, my Vice Mayor and City Council members, city staff, and all the community members for your presence tonight. On behalf of our Vietnamese American community, I'm very honored, very happy to be here. And we would like to show gratitude to our mayor, vice mayor, and city council members who always support us, especially special events like this. This is the month that we suffer, that we have to leave our country for freedom and for our flag. This is the flag that we ask the city of Milpitas to have mass for the whole month of April. That's why it's called Black April. Thank you very much for listening.
So I was just informed that there is someone from Project Sentinel here. Would you like to come and accept the proclamation for the Fair Housing Month? And would you like to say a few words?
Good evening. My name is Shane Zhang with Project Sentinel. Thank you, Mayor Montano and the City Council for presenting Project Sentinel with this proclamation in our shared fight against housing discrimination. The civil rights movement is still as important today. what we gain from that as people continue to be kept out of housing based on their race, religion, sex, gender, and other protected categories in California, such as source of income. We know that with the current housing crisis, that people are having a much harder time to find housing. And we look forward to continue working with you all to eradicate racial injustice and housing discrimination. Thank you.
Okay, and now we are going to have the proclamations for the band. So Vice Mayor Chua. Milpitas Community Bands.
A few weeks ago or last month, I attended an awesome, outstanding, excellent concert by MCCB, the Milpitas Community Concert Band. I was so awed and I said, they deserve a recognition. So I did my little research. I went to your website and asked people, and I said, the last time they were recognized was in 2015. And Director Jeff has been with us for 8 years. So it's about time, don't you think? So thanks for the help with Milpitas police chief. This is so organized. I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to give each one to our member.
Okay, so this commendation is given to Michael Aronson. I hope I said your name right. For the Milpitas Community Concert Band.
Thank you.
And I have Mr. Paul Lee.
All right, our next commendation goes to Jose Aviles.
And to Mr. Martin Reyes.
Miss Barbara Navarro. Oh, that's big.
And the next one, commendation is for Randy Taylor.
And Miss Roxanne Wall.
And up next is Mr. Kenneth Villegas.
Mr. Robert Yeager, the father of Director Jeff Yeager.
Okay, next is Caitlin Denning. Congratulations.
And I have Mr. Patrick Bacon.
Next is Randy Nelson. Randy Nelson.
Next is Heather Vo. Heather.
We apologize to Miss Caitlin Danning. We don't have your certificate, but we have it in spirit. So where is she? You did? Okay, police chief, you messed up. No, that never happened before, ever. And the very last one is, of course, our musical director, Jeff. Come on up, please.
He started in the band as an 8th grader.
Oh. You, you want to say a few
Yes.
words, please?
Thank you, Mayor Montano and City Council. On behalf of the Milpitas Community Band, thank you for this recognition. We are proud to be in our 31st year performing for this community of Milpitas. I'd like to invite everyone, including anyone out there on the internet watching, to our next concert, which is going to be Friday, May 10th. And it's a pre-Mother's Day concert. So bring everyone in the family, especially mom. We are a community band that is made up of people from all over the Bay Area. Our farthest member lives in Santa Cruz. We have people coming up from Alameda County, as well as Santa Clara County. And we are proud to be one of the only bands in the area that is supported as a function of the city versus an independent nonprofit. So we're proud to serve the community and the city. So thank you again for this recognition. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, the middle.
I also wanted to
Oh.
Oh my God.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful evening. Okay, we are going to be going into closed session. So we will. Oh, but actually, before we adjourn to closed session, Attorney Mutalapasi will say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, you'll be adjourning to closed session, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency's designated representative is Rick Bolanos from LCW. The bargaining units are LiUNA, UPEC, including ProTech, MEA, and MidCon, IAFF, and MPOA.
Thank you. And I will call for public comment on any of the closed session items. Seeing none, we will close to closed session. Wait for Ned. Okay, this meeting is now called to order. So it is now 7:04 and we are back to order. Am I supposed to call public hearing? No. Okay, so we had recess from the previous meeting, and so now we will have a joint session and we will call the meeting to order. The joint session will be with Cupertino Sanitary District, Burbank Sanitary District. And while this meeting is being broadcast via Zoom, all public comment may only be provided live at the Milpitas City Council meeting in person. Councilmember Barbadillo is scheduled to participate remotely from the Westin Palace in Madrid, Plaza de los Cortes 7, Madrid, Spain, 28014 pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953. The Cupertino Sanitary District and Bourbon Sanitary District will participate remotely from 20863 Stevens Creek Boulevard, Suite 100, Cupertino, California, 95014, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953. City Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Barbadillo. Vice Mayor Chua.
Here.
Councilmember Lien.
Here.
Councilmember Fan.
Present.
Mayor Montano.
And I am here. Okay, so the next item, we'll call for public comment on any closed session item. I'm sorry? I can't hear you. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Michael Montolopasi, City Attorney, will read the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Today you will have conference with legal counsel related to existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9. The litigation is the County Sanitation District 2-3 et al. Versus the City of San Jose et al. In the Santa Clara Superior Court, case number 18CV325480. City is plaintiff. You'll have legal counsel today being Tom Bauer, Anne Marie Mortimer, Robin Wall, Mark Hayes, Valerie Amamedo, Erica Gonzalez, and myself, Michael Mutalapas.
Thank you very much. And now we will call for public comment on the closed session item. So please note that tonight's public comment may be limited to 2 minutes. And is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Hello, Mr. Montemayor. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, Voltaire Montemayor of Milpitas. Oh, anyway, I'm not just questioning, but there was a presentation already on I printed this at home. So maybe there's still presentation coming. And then I think in the morning where City Council member Badilio is maybe 12 hours advance. I don't know. we're behind by 12 hours probably. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any public comment from the other agencies?
I have no cards, Mayor.
Okay, well, I guess we don't have any. So now we will adjourn to closed session. Mhm.
First.
So is the report twice? The meeting is called to order. We will reconvene from closed session. And right now it is 8:15. And my city attorney, can you please report out?
Thank you, Mayor. You had conference with legal counsel regarding the existing litigation with County Sanitation District 2-3 et al. Versus San Jose et al. At this time, there's nothing to report out.
Thank you for that. And so now we will adjourn the special meeting and we will also reconvene the regular meeting. Do you have another report out?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. You had a conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. At this time, there's nothing to report out.
Okay, thank you for that. So we will reconvene to the regular meeting. And now time for public forum. Let's move on to public forum. Members of the public are invited to speak on any item not on the agenda. Please note that oral public comment may only be provided live at the city council meeting in person. Public forum will be limited to 3 minutes. So city clerk, please call.
I have no speaker cards, Mayor.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak during public forum? Oh, 3 minutes. I already said that.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and the council members and fellow friends. I live on La Honda Drive in Milpitas, across from Hall Park, Memorial Hall Park. And thank you for listening to our concerns the last time we were here regarding the noise and the traffic and about the pickleballs. So last time we were here, our Vice Mayor asked for immediate action to be taken. As you remember, nothing has been done so far. So, about the timings, that we cannot sleep in the night. So my children, they work in the home during the daytime and they start like at 7 and they don't stop till like 10 o'clock in the night. So you had kindly requested for that time zone and also to put a notice for the parks there, for the timings for the people and also the parking. So that is our concern for today. And thank you for listening to us and the people on La Honda Drive. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We will have our city manager make a comment.
So just by way of reporting on the steps that have been taken since the last meeting, with regard to traffic and parking, our traffic engineer and his team will be starting a traffic assessment, including the speed trailer, the speed assessment, and red curb assessment. We've provided him with the street names on the petition of reference, and we'll start on La Honda, and then we'll take it from there. The traffic engineering team will also look at potential additional parking in the area of Hall Park. With regard to safety, site visits will be mostly driven by demand if residents call for any citable issues with regard to traffic safety. With regard to the sound dampening windscreens, the Public Works Department has reached out to providers to get the specs and product options. We're reaching also out to the city of Los Altos that has already installed the type of sound dampening windscreens that we hope to install, and we'll be scheduling a potential visit soon. And then most immediately, the court hours update. The messaging has gone out this week on the hours for the Hall Park to start closing at 9 o'clock. And in order to allow for the signage and the notification as courtesy to the tennis and the pickleball players. The change will be in effect starting Friday, April 12th. So that will at least, so that's an action that we can take immediately. So we'll start closing at 9 p.m. this Friday. And then the other moving parts will continue to report out to the council as we move along. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great to hear. Next.
Hey, I'm Kimberly. Same deal. Marie is my neighbor. Yeah, I was going to speak on these similar points and kind of urge you to reconsider this motion, considering the poor execution of this project so far. I feel like we've dragged things out. It wastes more taxpayer resources when I don't believe that these core concerns can be addressed. Like, I don't know where this parking is going to be implemented. Like, if we're going to pave over the playgrounds or something. Yeah, so it'd be prudent not to just spend thousands of dollars like trying out these things when we haven't like approved any permanent courts yet. When we can't tell like where this is going to go. Over a month ago, the staff saw a petition that was signed by 40 households. Yet neighbors are mentioned for 4 sentences in their 5-page proposal, and they even said like, "Oh, some neighbors love the changes," knowing that they had no way to identify any of these neighbors. They didn't ask for that information in their surveys. So honestly, the staff on this project has shown that they're incapable of devising a proposal that fairly represents all parties, crafted a narrative, ignored all the issues and flaws of the program that have been pointed out to them throughout the whole year. So I think if the city feels that this is in line with their standards, then that should be concerning to all the Milpitas residents. The 99% who don't even play pickleball, who need to know like who actually has their best interests in mind and are ensuring that their resources are used properly. The staff referenced a vote from their last meeting in February in their proposal to say like, oh, these are the preferences of people, and left out that about 40% of the people that attended and voted were non-residents. So apparently, I mean, like considering half the Milpitas Pickleball Club Council or whatever don't live in Milpitas, 40% get to go to these meetings and like vote on things that get included into their proposal for their suggestions. They're influencing changes in our city, but we don't have the budget. And the result is our residents have to pay higher sales tax to subsidize like their ability to come to our courts and play. Some other facts, like in the actual 1 year of the pilot, they were able to produce 1 single survey. So like we're 8 months past this 1 year now. Like how much longer do we have to wait and struggle just to get all these changes, and then perhaps nothing really changes with our lives? Because what can you really do on one little like residential street, honestly? So yeah. They prioritized a focus group doing equal representation of pickleball and tennis, 10 people, like, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm kind of concerned about the lack of oversight on some of these projects as well. If we have any like third party organizations that like view in, because I feel like the fact that this has been ongoing for so long and an individual is able to just, I don't know, do whatever and not really consider residents is alarming.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on any item? Mr. Montemayor?
Hotel Montemayor, Milpitas. Yes, I was saying last time I'm just half a mile away from that area, the subject area. It's good I heard from the city manager. Thank you. And now I think for safety first, I think the pickleball courts are now just improvised. There's for me, there's a safety issue there too. I don't know. They could fall down there because of an improvised tools that they have, the nets, all those, and yeah, it's really conflicting problems. Like I heard noise. The time is very hard. I don't know how could we, because I would say the supply and demand. The supply is parking lot, but the demand is way, way up. Like a lot of people want to play tennis and pickleballs. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak? Okay, seeing none, we're moving on to announcement of conflict of interest and campaign contributions. So we
Thank
have,
you, Mayor. I ask you, Mayor, and each of the council members whether he or she has any financial or personal conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda.
Vice Mayor Chua,
None.
Councilmember Lian,
None.
Councilmember Fan,
None.
Mayor Montano.
I am none.
Thank you. I further ask you to please disclose any campaign contributions of $100 or more received within the last 12 months from any of the parties entering into contracts with the city on tonight's agenda, or contributions received from the development project applicant or development projects on tonight's agenda.
Vice Mayor Chua,
None.
Councilmember Lian,
None.
Councilmember Fan,
None.
Mayor Montano.
I am none.
Please let the record reflect there are no reported conflicts.
Thank you for that, City Attorney. And now moving on to the Code of Conduct, and we have Vice Mayor who will read the Code of Conduct.
Be respectful and courteous. Model civility. Avoid surprises. Praise publicly and criticize privately. Focus on the issue, not the person. Refrain from using electronic devices while on the dais. Disclose conflicts of interest and affiliations related to agenda items. Separate governing from campaigning. The council speaks with one voice after making policies on issues. Respect the line between policy and administration. Council will hold one another accountable to comply with this code of conduct. This is our Milpitas City Council Code of Conduct. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And now the approval of the agenda. So now we're moving on to the approval of the agenda. And does anyone have any changes? Not, I am asking for a motion. We'll have Councilmember.
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Councilmember Ban made a second. Okay, call for the motion.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Vote for the vote, sorry.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Aye.
Councilmember Lian,
Aye.
Councilmember Fan,
Aye.
Mayor Montano.
And I am an aye. Okay, so it was motioned by Councilmember Lin and seconded by Councilmember Ban. Okay, so now moving on to the consent calendar. So staff, do you have any changes on the consent calendar?
No comments on the consent calendar. Thank you.
Okay, any changes from council members? Not? Let's go ahead and vote for make a motion for actually public comment. There a public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, okay, well, now we ask for a motion.
Motion to approve the consent items.
It's motion by Councilmember Lin. Is there a second? Was seconded by Councilmember Fan. So now we will call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Aye.
Councilmember Lian,
Aye.
Councilmember Fan,
Aye.
Mayor Montano.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so all the items from 1 to 12 have been accepted. Now we're moving on to public hearings. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Our public hearing item tonight is for the adoption of a summary vacation of a portion of an existing public right-of-way. It's located on Porrett Court, and the vacation is to accommodate a future residential project. We have our engineering manager, Roberto Alonso, here, or will join us to provide the staff report.
Thank you and welcome, Mr. Alonso. Roberto?
Hi, good evening, Mayor, City Council members. So I'm here to present item number 13, the summary vacation of public right-of-way. Next slide, please. Give you a little bit of a project background. The project is located within the TASP area at 1752 Horet Court. The vesting tentative map was deemed complete on March 17, 2022. Site development permit and conditional use permit were issued on May 17 of 2022. The subdivision improvement agreement for this project was approved on February 6 of 2024. The project is composed of 56 condominium units with 24 attached accessory dwelling units. Per condition of approval number 40, a requirement to vacate an existing public right-of-way to accommodate the project was required. Portion of the vacated area dedicated as public service and utility easement is being done under the final track map number 10591. Next slide, please. Analysis for the vacation. The California Streets and Highways Code sections 8330 and 8334 authorizes the City Council to summarily vacate public right-of-ways that have been superseded by relocation or determined to be in excess by the right-of-way holder, and there are no public facilities located within the areas not reserved from the vacation as easements for public utility facilities. There's an existing public service and utility easement located at 1752 Horet Court that was dedicated as part of the approved final track map number 10591. City staff has determined that ultimate right-of-way for Horet Court has public service and utility easement will be reserved for future utilities, and no utilities exist within the area of the to be vacated public right-of-way outside of this public service and utility easement. Staff comply with all conditions and statutory requirements necessary for the summary vacation of the public right-of-way. Notice of the public hearing for the vacation was advertised in the local newspaper, and notices were posted at the project site. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Staff recommendation. Sorry, can you go back one slide? Sorry. Staff recommendation is to open a public hearing and move to close it, following any comments, and adopt a resolution for the summary vacation of a portion of the existing public right-of-way on Horet Court. And that concludes my presentation for this evening. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alonso, for that presentation. And so now I will open up to the public hearing and call for any comments. We have Mr. Montemayor.
Thank you. Voltaire Montemayor, Milpitas. Very quickly, understand is just we're wondering anyway, I define the vacation as vacate. In other words, it's not like the other meaning. So we're just wondering of the timing, and I've heard and I've seen on the screen that the notices all the cities concerned to post any notice is done. So I would say it's ready now, even though there may be too much time passed already. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make any comments on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and now moving on to council discussion. Is there any council members that would like to make any comments? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
Seeing none, move to approve.
Is there a second? We have Councilmember Lin.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Chua and seconded by Councilmember Lin. So now we call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Aye.
Councilmember Lian,
Aye.
Councilmember Fan,
Aye.
Mayor Montano.
And I'm an aye. Moving on to leadership and support services. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn the time over to our city attorney, Michael Mutalakasi, for this item as it's a new and the introduction of an ordinance related to solicitation. City attorney.
Thank you, City Manager. Today we bring you an item that was put on our work plan by the council through the prioritization process. That was last fall. We told you we'd bring it to you this spring. This is a ordinance to allow residents to prevent solicitation on their private property. For more information, Assistant City Attorney Christopher Creech has prepared a presentation. I'll turn the time over to him.
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. As you well know, the city has received a large number of complaints. Solicitors calling at odd hours of the night, interrupting family meals, residents aggressively saying that they were accosted while taking out the trash or in their garage, strangers who seem to be perpetrating a fraud or surveilling a residence under the guise of going door to door. All manners of residents expressing concern that they do not feel safe and secure in their homes. The council heard those complaints and took action to prioritize this item as recommended by Councilmember Barbadillo for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The city attorney's office, in consultation with other departments, bring the proposed ordinance to you tonight to fulfill the council's goals of regulating uninvited visitors to residential property. Can I get the first slide, please? As a recap, in October 3rd, Councilmember Barbadillo brought these concerns to the council. On November 14th, the council prioritized this item. On February 20th, the city attorney's office, with direction from the council, said they would bring this ordinance for council's consideration in the early spring. Next slide, please. Council knows that there has to be a fair balance that's struck here. Residents need to be able to be safe in their homes, to control their property, to enjoy their property in peace and quiet. But these solicitors are also small businesses. There are Girl Scouts selling cookies or fundraising for schools. There are individuals organizing for political campaigns or for community events or for public meetings. And there is a concern, as always, that when you regulate in one of these areas and choose the good solicitors against the bad, there's a concern of viewpoint discrimination. And there's therefore an opportunity for the city to treat all equally. And there's, of course, the important right for residents to be able to receive any speech if they are, in fact, interested in it. Next slide, please. So the proposed ordinance brought before the council tonight is one that puts the power of choice in a resident's hands. Residents don't have to do anything complicated. They don't need to make fences, hire security, or call the police. All a resident has to do is do one of two things. First, if a resident tells someone that they need to leave their property, that person needs to leave. They need to obey orders from residents. And then they must stay away from that property unless the resident gives their consent for them to enter. Residents, once they give that consent to enter, can withdraw at any time. The resident remains in control of their property. If a resident doesn't like how aggressive a solicitor is being, they can tell them to leave, and the solicitor must respect that choice. Second, residents who do not want to engage with solicitors can post a sign. The ordinance specifies where to post that sign, what to put in it, and how to take action to enforce that sign. This approach treats everyone equally. It doesn't discriminate based upon viewpoint or content of speech about what someone is doing. It allows the resident to be able to make a choice. Next slide, please. I'd like to go into a little bit more detail about the sign portion of this ordinance. So there are three different types of signs specified in the ordinance, and those three different types of signs are the kinds of signs that you could acquire at a hardware store, at a office supply store, at any number of large retailers. There are no soliciting, no canvassing, and no trespass signs. If a resident is not interested in having door-to-door salesmen on their property, they can post a no solicitor sign. If a resident does not want uninvited discussions on their doorstep about politics or anything else, then they could post a no canvasser sign. If they want to prevent both of those things or any other people from coming upon their property without invitation, then they can post a no trespasser sign. Regardless of which sign a resident chooses, they can always customize that sign to their preferences by having exclusions, by having conditions. If a resident does not want for people to call upon them during odd hours of night, they can post a sign saying no trespassing, no entry between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning if they so choose. This is, again, to strike a fair balance. It lets residents decide who they will engage with, and it defines in clear terms what a sign means so a solicitor can be informed. Next slide, please. The ordinance gives 4 specific places so a solicitor knows exactly where to look for these signs on property. It requires the lettering of these signs to be 2 inches in height, which is generally visible from between 20 to 30 feet away, the usual setback in the city for a front setback, so it can be seen from the side. The ordinance allows a solicitor, if they cannot read that sign, if they cannot see that it's present from the sidewalk, to approach onto the property until that sign becomes visible, and then to immediately leave. The sign must be unobstructed. No hiding these signs, no playing games. Must be visible so people know when they come to the property. And it means that, and the ordinance specifies that if someone is going to have someone else going door to door on their behalf, it is their obligation to inform that person about the city's ordinance, to spread the word, to make sure people are informed, or to be responsible for those violations themselves. Again, it empowers residents, but is being fair to visitors to these properties so they know what is and isn't allowed. Next slide, please. The proposed ordinance also carves out common sense exceptions. Governments, neighbors, mail carriers, shipments, those with permission to enter the property, including family members with standing or open permission, all the kinds of common sense things. The idea is to allow residents to prevent people from entering their property, those kinds of people who they can permissively choose to allow or not allow, but prevents them from excluding individuals who have a legal right to enter upon the property. Next slide, please. Residents in this case are in the best place to be able to enforce the ordinance. They know who has permission and who doesn't, what signs have been posted and what haven't, what exceptions apply. And so this ordinance empowers residents who are injured to bring a legal action, to seek compensation for any damages they might have sustained, or if they have no damages, to seek out a $1,000 civil penalty in order to deter violations. The city still has full enforcement powers if it so wishes, but it allows the city to be able to focus its limited enforcement resources on widespread or persistent violations, the kinds that affect the entire community, not simply one solicitor and one particular resident. Next slide, please. So the recommendation from staff tonight is to have the city attorney read the title of the ordinance, to move to waive the reading of the ordinance beyond the title, to adopt a finding of CEQA exemption, and to introduce ordinance 302. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you very much for that presentation. So now we will ask public if they have any questions on this item.
I have one speaker, Mayor, Loretto Dimanadal.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Loretto Quevedo Dimandal. I've been living in Milpitas for several decades now, and I'm also involved politically as a political organizer, nationally, statewide, as well as locally. So it's very important to express and also promote democracy, exercising our right to not just vote, but also to register people to vote and also to canvass for political campaigns of our choices. So I just want to make sure that the city protects the rights of canvassers. So there needs to be an education on what is the difference between soliciting and canvassing, especially political canvassing, because that is protected by the Constitution under the First Amendment rights for political canvassers, not just for the campaigns, but for the canvassers themselves. So I just want to make sure that people, the residents, or anybody who's trying to prevent political canvassers, that we also have rights that needs to be protected. And we are here to promote and defend democracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like, go ahead. I was going to ask if our city attorney can comment on her question.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity. So the ordinance is very specific in distinguishing between the resident's choice and the sign that they post so that individuals coming to the property can know exactly what is and isn't prohibited. A no canvassing sign would apply to what the commenter was talking about. That applies to any entry into a home that is not having some kind of a transaction for value. That could be, a charitable contribution or buying or selling services. Those would be solicitations. Other kinds of things, which would be speaking, discussing ideas, sharing viewpoints, news, soliciting for votes, or educating registered voters, that would be canvassing. So if a resident posts a no canvassing sign, that means that they do not want canvassers of any kind. They do post a no solicitor sign, that means they don't want solicitors of any kind. In terms of striking that fair balance, all of this is protected activity. Going door to door is a First Amendment right, but that right ends at the property line, and property owners get to choose who they want to allow on their property and who they want to listen to. I think for that purpose, what I read from is a quotation from the United States Supreme Court on this issue. In the case of Martin versus City of Struthers, Ohio, the Supreme Court said, ordinances of the sort now before us may be aimed at the protection of households from annoyance, including intrusion upon hours of rest, and at the prevention of crime. Constant callers, whether selling posts or distributing leaflets, may lessen the peaceful enjoyment of a home as much as a neighborhood glue factory or railroad yard, which zoning ordinances may prohibit. The court then went on to discuss a model ordinance that was developed by the National Institute of Municipal Law Officers that allowed residents to be able to prohibit people from coming on their property by expressing their view, including through signs. The court said, the National Institute of Municipal Law Officers had proposed a form of regulation to its member cities, which would make it an offense for any person to ring the bell of a householder who has appropriately indicated that he is unwilling to be disturbed. This or any similar regulation leaves the decision as to whether distributors of literature may lawfully call at a home where it belongs, in the homeowner himself. A city can punish those who call at a home in defiance of the previously expressed will of the occupant. Again, this is where it's a resident-based choice. The resident can choose if they don't want to hear from canvassers. The resident can choose if they don't want to hear from solicitors. If the resident doesn't make that choice, the ordinance does not prevent anyone from doing anything that they would not otherwise be lawfully. The ordinance allows anyone to do anything else that they could lawfully do.
Okay, thank you. So as long as the resident has that sign explicitly saying no solicitors, and that means no, people cannot drop off a flyer, people cannot knock on their door. So that's basically what you're saying.
It would be different kinds of signs. So no solicitors means no one coming on the property to propose any kind of a transaction for value. Buying or selling services, seeking contributions, nothing, no exchange of anything for value. No canvasser sign means no coming onto the property to have discussed views or ideas. No trespassers means no canvassers, no solicitors, no one else without permission.
So they have to have a sign that says specifically no canvassers.
Correct.
Okay. So, or no trespassing.
Correct.
Those three things. Okay. That just want to make that clear. So did that answer your question, Ms. Loretto? You can come on down. Remember, we at 3 minutes.
Yeah, as a political organizer and canvasser, I know the difference between a commercial kind of solicitation versus political canvassing, which is different. So I just want to make sure, though, that when this came about, there was a word that was used. I think you used the word huge amount of complaints or concerns. I want to know how many, why this came about. Because if we are trying to pass ordinances, that would create more work and expense for the homeowner. Although, of course, as a homeowner, I also have protect my family and myself from any criminal activity or any kind of solicitation that's not really good. And so if it creates more work for everyone, including the homeowner, setting up signs and the regulations about 5 feet or stuff like that, if you live in an association,
HOA.
yeah, an HOA, there's some already regulations regarding that issue, and some may be okay with this. Some might not be, depending on the CCNRs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we will ask anyone else from the public? So Mr. Montemayor?
Thank you. Was there a typo error like ordinance 302, but on this paper it's ordinance 314? Yeah, anyway, it's kind of sensitive, a little bit swinging this side and swinging that side. It could be a little problem. I will use this side, the freedom. The other side is safety. I want safety anyway. As long as there's no, both sides will not be engaged in something like it will go up to at least misdemeanor and the other more serious. So for me, safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Montemayor. Is there anyone else from the public? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing comment session, and then now we will go on to council discussion.
Mayor, before you go on to council discussion, may I
You sure can.
make one embarrassing comment? Section 5-15-306. There's a typo in the last sentence. The word for biting should be prohibiting. And any motion made, I would appreciate if we can correct that error.
Okay, is there a motion to correct that? You want to do that now? Okay, all right. We'll have a discussion. So we see Councilmember Fan.
Thank you. I thought it was a very in-depth presentation, and I want to thank the attorney's office for their work on this. I understand the nuisances of solicitation. I do. It can be annoying, and I think in certain circumstances, restricting that solicitation, can be very beneficial, especially in regards to public safety. However, I think the question that we want to ask ourselves is, what kind of image do we want to project to, future generations, to people who might want to move to Milpitas, prospective residents? Do we really want to close off the conversation? Do we want to say, back off? And I understand in some cases, yeah, we do, but I feel strongly that we're treading the we're treading the politics of fear. And I don't think that that is ever productive. Milpitas, for as long as I remember, has always been an open and welcoming community. We embrace dialogue, we embrace differences. Like through these conversations, we get a more informed community a lot of the time, especially when it comes to purposes of like advocacy, ballot measures and whatnot. I think that a huge part of that, that's part of our process, our democratic process, our First Amendment rights. At the end of the day, and not to defend colonialism, this country was founded by solicitors. Christopher Columbus, when he got off, he was, you folks live here? Where, that conversation, where that took off, that's a different story, obviously. But, solicitation is a part of America. And so my question is this: how much would it take? How much work would it take to change up the ordinance so that it applies to commercial properties? Because I'm more in favor of that. When folks solicit, like at Walmart or Target, I think that's more dangerous than, somebody coming up and saying, hey, I want to tell you about Measure F, because the people soliciting there, a lot of the time, well, I don't want to make assumptions, obviously, but I want to make sure that purposes of solicitation are not nefarious, that it's authentic and provides a public good. And so if this is only applicable to residential properties, look, people can always say no already. People can always be a jerk to their neighbors. Hey, get off my property, But to actually codify it into law, I have reservations about that and the implications of where we stand as a community. I don't know how much work it would take, and perhaps that's a conversation for a different day. I would very much like to see restrictions on solicitation, especially on public right of way. Calaveras, I always see the same people soliciting. They get picked up later on, and they involve their kids, and we can't do much about it because that's Caltrans property. I see folks trying to take advantage of the kindness of our community, and pull over right, off the side of the freeway, pretending that, their car is like broken, and scam people. And that to me poses a greater threat to the public, than people going door to door. So if we can address those problems, at commercial properties, at public right of way, as on public transportation connections, I think that would go much further. So, but the ordinance as it is now, I can't support it.
So just in brief response, Councilmember Fan, the laws behind soliciting on in the public right of way, or in what we would consider under the law quasi-public areas, these would be like commercial spaces outside the town center, the parking lot, somewhere like that, are very, very different than the laws that govern what people can choose to do in their own residential properties. So I don't know that we would contemplate including that in an ordinance like this. If that's something you would like us to explore, we would be happy to with the consent of the rest of the council, or the majority of the council, we would be happy to explore something like that. But it would probably come as a standalone ordinance. It would be separate from the decision the council is making on the ordinance for solicitation on residential properties.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anyone else that would like to make any discussions on this? Okay, then Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to ask Attorney Christopher, how are you going? What's your strategy in disseminating this information to our residents?
You're saying if the ordinance passes, being able to
Yes,
communicate
how
it?
would you do it to make sure everybody understands? It's very clear the way you wrote it, but how are you going to disseminate this information to our residents?
So I do want to make sure that I'm staying in my lane, if you will. From the legal perspective, I can say to that. For the terms of public education and outreach, that's probably a question left to the public information officer. Their resources, how they think can be most effectively communicated, where they think they can be put, where we have room in residential flyers and things of that nature. What we can put on the website so people can gain that kind of information. So generally, I would defer to them to be able to come up with a strategy for that. There are aspects built into the ordinance as is that's designed to be able to help residents or to help the community know. So for instance, if you're going to have someone solicit on your behalf or canvass on your behalf or go door to door otherwise on your behalf, you're supposed to tell them about the city's ordinance. So there's an aspect of that education already built into the ordinance itself. The ordinance is also already using signs that people do tend to post on their property for this very purpose. And it's codifying into law those very kinds of commonplace understandings of those signs. Somebody says no trespassing, they mean no trespassing of any kind. Somebody says no soliciting, they mean no soliciting of any kind. If somebody says no canvassing, they mean no canvassing of any kind. There are exceptions ran into those signs. So it's tracking a common sense understanding. It's just making those kinds of signs that people already post to try to communicate their will legally enforceable and clearly so. So I guess to answer your question directly, the actual campaign for public information and outreach, I would leave to the public information officer. In terms of ways in which the ordinance has been designed to be able to be something that's intelligible, understandable, and readily communicable to the community, that has been one of the objectives in crafting this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. So
Just to follow up, we have had the preliminary discussions with the public information officer, who's prepared to work with us on a campaign that would likely include Facebook, social media postings, posting on the website, and may or may not include a press release depending on
Yeah,
the
that's
will
good
of
to
the
hear.
council.
I just wanted to share that with the rest of the residents. The other issue, thank you, Attorney Christopher. The other one that Councilmember Fan brought up, I do agree that the next step would be the commercial side of this ordinance. I agree with that. That's needed too. So, thank you.
Wanted to make a comment about Councilmember Fan's comment on the soliciting in major thoroughfares like Great Mall. They're right there in the median, and actually it's a hazard. I did see a sign on Great Mall and Landis, says no soliciting, but I think we should have more. That's becoming a bigger problem of people that are panhandling out there, right in the middle of the street. So anyway, let's call for a vote. Actually, I need a motion. Did you? Okay, Vice Mayor Chua,
Move to approve as recommended by staff. Thank you. With Thank you.
so
City Attorney.
it was moved by Vice Mayor with the correction. And is there a second? Is there a second? I will second that. Call for the vote.
Before we call for the vote, may I read out loud the title of the ordinance? This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Milpitas, adding Chapter 15, Residential Trespass, Canvassing, and Solicitation to Title 5, Public Health, Safety, and Welfare of the Milpitas Municipal Code relating to the trespass of canvassers, solicitors, and others on residential property.
Thank you. I call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Aye.
Councilmember Liang,
Hey.
Did you get that? Okay.
no,
She said nay. No.
Councilmember Fan,
Nay.
Mayor Montano.
And I am an aye. So it died because it is a tie. I don't see Councilmember Barbadillo on with us, so he's absent. Okay, so now moving on to announcements. Hey, City Manager, do you have any announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no announcements tonight.
Okay, we have Vice Mayor Chua.
I have two thank yous. I just want to thank the Office of the City Manager for the Retail Theft Prevention Forum, and also Chief Gerard and his team. Wonderful job, and got a lot of positive feedback from the residents, especially the ones who attended. And I also want to thank the Office of the City Manager, including Rochelle and Michelle, and also Renee, for doing those 50 certificates for the Milpitas Community Concert Band. I heard that Michelle took up at least half a day to do them. Thank you so much. And for the ask, I would like for us to explore, City Attorney and City Manager, to explore changing or enhancing the focus of the Community Advisory Commission to add the housing. So it will be Community and Housing Advisory Commission. Because basically right now, what the focus of Community Advisory Commission is just cleanup, and a lot of groups are doing cleanups. I think we need to focus on housing, and we need a commission to do that. That's my ask.
Thank you for that.
Um,
Consensus, is there, we'll go for the vote.
Vice Mayor Chua,
Aye.
Councilmember Leon,
Aye.
Mayor Montano,
I'm a no.
Councilmember Fan.
Aye.
Three, one. Okay, you get your consensus. No, I voted no,
Oh,
because we have a housing subcommittee. That's
No,
right.
but this is- Okay, that's.
Yes, yeah. All right. Okay, anyone else have any other announcements? Or ask, Councilmember?
Well, I want us here on the council to recognize Public Works for all the work that they've done in the city to serve the community. Also, last weekend, despite the rain, Milpitas City came together with Rotary Club to plant a tree for the Arbor Day. And we had the Girls and Boy Scouts to come out and help. Rotary Club served burgers after the plant of the tree, and it was a fun day for the kids, and of course for the adults too. And special thanks to Elaine Marshall for coming out and really hands-on audits, yeah, to plant a tree with the kids. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, well, that's it. Meeting adjourned.